Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's episode number 6, Sports Wellness Office podcast, and Mr. Sven as a co-host. My name is Nemanja. I'm head of the sport, and today we have a special guest from the College of Health Science from Abu Dhabi University, Dr. and Professor Sofyan Maghaydah, acting dean of the College of Health Science, and we're going to go very fast with some of the topics we want to cover. There's going to be a series of these episodes, and I'm going to start with Sven and to tell us a little bit more about College of Health Science and programs that we have.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, doctor. How are you today?
Good morning to you. I'm doing well.
I'm very good. Thank you. It was a very busy period. You had 2 symposiums over the last month.
Yes.
Congratulations on the big achievement.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm glad we had this.
Of course. So I want to first ask you about the acting position of the acting dean. How is the feeling of supervising the entire college? You have a lot of students, you have a lot of faculty members, and you're very interested in this field and in this position.
Well, thank you. First of all, Nemanja, Sofyan, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be with you and talk about different topics, and looking forward for more episodes on that. Being an acting dean was the highest honor and the distinct honor of my life, and that the chairman and the chancellor and they have entrusted me to lead this college, and it's been very, very remarkable journey, and I always say that the greatest honor is basically to work with my colleagues and to provide with them with the right environment and to empower them and to provide them with every tools so that they will thrive, they will grow, and they will achieve their goals and ambitions, and more importantly to come to work happily and looking forward. So we've been really working a lot of many things on the agenda, and we have achieved so many things in terms of recruitments, the students, in terms of developing new programs, in terms of, as you mentioned, events and symposiums. The student satisfaction is up, and the collegiality and all the colleagues are working in one team, which is something I'm really proud. And we have a very ambitious plan for the future. We've developed a strategic plan for the coming 3 years, and we also have opened new 3 programs in Al Ain campus, and we got the re-accreditation from the CA for current programs in Abu Dhabi and Al Ain, and we're looking forward to that actually. So we really have a very ambitious plan in the future.
Wow, so, amazing. The College of Health Science is in safe hands, I would say. And within the college, how many programs do you offer, and how do you actually split the college itself? If you can briefly explain.
Sure, we have 2 departments, but we have 5 programs. So we have Department of Environmental and Public Health, and then we have Department of Molecular and or Biomedical and Molecular Sciences. Under those 2 departments, we have 5 programs, which is basically public health, or we have environmental health and safety, and then we have laboratory medicines, and we have molecular and medical genetics, and we have the human nutrition and dietetics programs. And all of them are very successful programs, and especially when we talk about MMG, which is molecular and medical genetics, and laboratory medicines, we have the highest number of students in those 2 programs. And, there's a high demand.
Truly amazing, really. Everything you just put into words, it's truly amazing. And I know we, as the Sports and Wellness Office and the college, have previously collaborated. You can explain more a bit of that later. It's been a great collaboration, and wish you all the best, in the future plans of the program.
Sure. We're gonna we start more programs in clinical psychology and graduate programs also, and other programs that also have related with sports and other things. So,
Thank you, Doctor, for this fantastic introduction, because we know you personally and we work with you, so we understand how far the College of Health Science came and how very fast progression was what's happening. I have to be honest and say that some of the major things that the Sports Wellness Office done in previous few years was in collaboration with College of Health Science and some of the joint ventures that we have. One of the latest was the Open Elective course, Health and Fitness, and which it's running his second semester.
I know.
And it's running well over there.
It is very
honest,
successful. I'm glad the students like it.
Yeah, they like it really, and we have great feedbacks. On the other side,
thanks to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. So to be more kind of casual and put it into the right context of the conversation, we want to cover today and start with today two topics. One is going to be a part of the sports nutrition, which is we are focusing on primarily, as we have Sports Wellness Office, we have athletes and program around varsity teams, and also we want to touch base about certain nutritional factors about, for example, dietary fiber, and how that affect the regular day or the week or the month or the year of development of the athletes or anybody who likes to know more about their nutrition. So I'll start with the sports nutrition. Can you give us a kind of like a base of the course, because we understand we start to running it, and for our students and us to understand better what we can benefit from it.
Well, thank you. I actually coming from a nutrition background, and I always believe that nutrition and sports or exercise they go along, and this is what we call it a comprehensive lifestyle management, which is basically proper dieting is not enough at this moment. It has to be coupled with a good program and daily activities and sports. And from that actually perspective or background, we have worked to develop the health and fitness elective, because we have, for our nutrition students, we have another more rigorous course which is called the sports nutrition for professionals and for athletes, where we go deep into the science of that. But my mission we need to engage all the students regardless of their backgrounds and disciplines, in order to learn more about the benefits of having this beautiful combination between nutrition and sports and the health benefits that they can get. And more importantly, we need to encourage students to adopt a healthy and to engage or for exercises to be part of their daily schedules. So I know you're part of this course, and it's been really a great ride and a journey, and I received so many good feedback from the students. They have taken the class, and I was really very pleased with the outcomes and what the students shared with me. So when you have students that are coming from the engineering or business background or other disciplines, just talking about how this course changed the course of their lives, into seriously, I mean, into adapting a more healthier lifestyle in terms of their foods, in terms of their exercises, the kind of activities that you've been and exercises that you've been teaching the students about. Simple things, but it keeps people moving, on the move, and they learn, and people active. So really, think people have changed, and awareness is our, main goal is to basically raise the awareness about how important these things are, and to make people and to change their behavior into a better behavior. So I am actually more encouraged to develop more courses and to offer more courses in that area. And I will share with you some of the ideas maybe after the podcast.
Sure.
Regardless of that. And it's a great collaboration, actually, which is between nutrition and...
It is. It's natural.
It's
more natural over there, but also it's related to you and your character. We have to say that your character is very easygoing, and it's easy to communicate with you and find the right direction where we can go. And the knowledge that you have and your background is enormous. So we benefit all from that. I mean, by just being a part of this course, I'm learning as well. It's a development for me and for the students. This is what I cherish. But I have to just put a remark regarding the first 2 semesters. It was excellent to see, as you mentioned, students who are like majoring in engineering or architecture or law to pass by and become a part of the course and actually gain certain knowledge of their life habit changes and move on further with certain things that they didn't have before they attended that course. So I'm grateful and I'm happy that it works well.
Actually, I'd like to speak to this point is that what I also like about this, what made it really successful is that it is driven by passion. Your passion was really evident. The students shared with me so many, funny stories, and how your passion and your simplicity and devotion to this made them really, or inspired them actually, and which really I always tell my students that you have to be passionate and pursue your passion. And here we have an example where you really. Your passion for love for sports and exercise have positively reflected on your performance and to inspire other students really to do so. So I would like to thank you for simplifying this and to inspire the students to adapt more physical activities.
Highly appreciate these kind of words because it's coming from you, and actually my easygoing with the course was actually influenced by you. So the way we communicated, the way we see how things should develop was something that I feel like right. So thank you. I didn't know about these remarks and feedback, so I kind of feel pleased about it.
Well, I was hiding them until we did a podcast.
Okay, I gotta write this
one
one
to
down.
see how surprised you are.
No survey can really illustrate this.
No, the survey
these kind of
I got
words.
from the first hand. So
No, but that's I'm just telling the truth, really. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor.
Sure.
Okay, so are we able to hit with the topic related to the dietary fiber? Because this is
Sure,
really important.
I would like also to, while I know we're going to be talking about fibers today, but I really would like to continue this because I am passionate and it is one of my goals and objectives in life is to share knowledge, especially when it comes to nutrition, because nutrition touches people's life. And we have to spread the word and we have to raise awareness about that. So with your permission, maybe we can develop more than a series of episodes about different topics in nutrition that we make them, share them with the community.
We're going to be more than glad, especially because this podcast itself is a form of the experience for the students. So we have a student Ahmed behind the cameras who is running the show, and we have student Sven, and we have other students also involved. They're busy now with some different events, but the full project is created in such a way to again develop the students' experience.
I would like to engage the nutrition students also to come around and to talk about nutrition.
We are open for that, so more students are involved with this project. This project becomes bigger, and the effect on the audience is greater because we give more information that they might know.
Sharing is caring.
Of course.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Steve.
All right. So before we go into the fibers, can we just have a few, because our viewers are students, some of them are of course more advanced, some are less advanced. So let's just give them a short, brief overview. Macronutrients, what are they? Which 3 are there? Why are they important?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. Macronutrients. So macronutrients, the word 2 words. So we have macro and we have nutrients. And the word macro comes from that those nutrients, we need them in large amounts. Okay, so, and the unit for them is grams. So for instance, we need, macronutrients are basically carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and those are really the macronutrients that we can think of. And we need them in large amounts. So for instance, we need around, roughly speaking, around 300 grams of carbohydrates per day. And we need around 60 grams of fat per day. And we need around 60 to 80 grams per day of proteins. But the opposite of macronutrient is micronutrients, because we need them in minute amounts, which are vitamins and minerals. So the unit for vitamins and minerals is milligrams or micrograms. That's why they call them micronutrients.
The smaller amount than macro.
Yeah.
But also these values, it's connected with the gender, with the age, with the height, weight, I assume.
It is mostly we follow the RDA, which is the guidelines set by American committee, which is basically we follow this based on age mostly, and of course, the recommendations for micronutrients and the recommendations for macronutrients are way different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great to know. These are the basic information that we want to share with some of the students who are not able, for example, to attend College of Health Science, some of the courses that you guys have, or open elective courses. So that's why we want to kind of share some of the basics to the people who...
And I actually would like to, speaking of that, so every single time you buy food supplements, for instance, a multivitamin, multiminerals, you're going to see on the nutrition facts the word RDA, which is the recommended daily allowance, which means how much I should be taking from this vitamin and mineral. And they usually they put it in a percentage, like say for instance each tablet of this multivitamins or multimineral will provide you 20% of your RDA. That means I still have to get another 80% to achieve 100% of my RDA.
Great information. This is exactly what we want to...
And that applies to all the minerals and vitamins. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. Exactly, these are the information that we are searching for, the simplified information that can actually guide our students in the right direction.
Sure. Tips and tricks for a good pre-workout meal, pre-workout consumption of foods. What is there to consider?
Well, it depends. It depends on the kind of exercise you're doing. We have two kinds, as probably I'm speaking to the experts. We have endurance training and we have resistance training. In endurance trainings, where you just have to build your fitness, and the examples is walking, running, jogging. Those are all kind of endurance trainings. They build up your fitness and your shapes. But the resistance exercise are those exercises or set of exercises that you do, weightlifting, for instance, in order to grow your muscles. In both cases, I don't know if it's surprising to you and to the audience or not, we have to get carbohydrates. That is the most important thing.
The energy source.
It is the energy source. It is the most important energy source because we have fat all the time, no matter whether you are slim, whether you are overweight, whether you are average, whether you're obese. You have lots of fat in our body. You don't have to feed yourself with fat, but you do have to feed yourself with carbohydrates. Examples: starch, rice, bread, and all that stuff. Because we store carbohydrates in the body, in the liver and muscles, in a very limited amounts. And those amounts, they could be run out easily, and therefore we always have to make sure prior starting any exercise that you walk into this exercise with a full, load or tank storage of glycogen, which is the storage form of carbohydrates in the body. So you need to have your liver glycogen, muscle glycogens full, and that will keep you going. And proteins are not that much, they don't play that big role, whether in endurance or resistance. For sure, I'm saying, but for sure they do an important role after post-exercise, especially in resistance exercise, not endurance exercise.
Of course.
Yeah.
But within each food, this is probably my part where I have to step aside for two bigger specialists.
Sure, yeah.
Within each food, there are certain type of fibers in each type of these smaller kind of vitamins and nutrients, which are important for our body, which probably most people don't give much credit for.
Yeah.
So these are called fibers, if I'm not mistaken.
Which is today's topic over there, and we want to try to put just the basics
Bring
over
it
there.
on.
Yes. Because right now, to be honest, despite how far we are involved in sports and sports development, it's actually fantastic to listen to you directly. How you simplify this sports science and science behind nutrition and so on. So I'm learning as well in a long way. But let's start with the fibers. You suggested that as a topic,
I suggested fibers because to me this is the first and foremost important subjects that I'd like to talk. Not only because I love it, but because how important it is. And I always like to share this with the audience, with my students and with the community. And I know it is underestimated. I know not many people are aware of how important. And I know for sure, I hate to break it to you, that we are not going to cover everything that I wanted to do during this episode. But we have to talk more about it. But fibers are basically, simply speaking, indigestible carbohydrates. So they are carbohydrates that we cannot digest them. So, for instance, if you eat rice or if you eat bread, both of them are a source of starch, and the starch is something that we digest. We break it down into glucose. If you eat any kind of fibers, and fibers are a big group, it's a big family. Okay, and underneath this family there are several types of fibers, and each fiber has a different role. So this is a very, very sophisticated issue. So now, if we eat a fiber, so for instance, cellulose is a fiber, for instance, we don't digest cellulose. So it will remain as is, something that we call it a complex carbohydrate. Starch is a complex carbohydrate because it's big. Cellulose is big. But the difference is the starch will be broken down into simple units, which is a glucose. Whereas cellulose, it will remain as is. Now, this is the beauty of that. When a fiber remains as is, it'll escape digestion. It will go from your stomach into your small intestines, no digestion, and then it will reside and stay in your large intestines. This is where miracles happen, and seriously, all the health benefits that we would like to talk more about. So, simply speaking, let me just talk about 3 kinds of fibers. First, we find fibers in fruits, vegetables, cereals, grains. Those are the sources of fibers. And the common thing among all of these things is basically they are basically sources of carbohydrates, and regardless whether digestible or not digestible carbohydrates. So we don't find fibers in meat. We don't find fibers in chicken or other meat sources. Rather, we find them there. Now, what makes it more complicated, or actually interesting as well, is basically fibers that they come from fruits are different than the fibers that they come from vegetables, and different than the fibers and they have different health benefits. Okay, each fibers, and so that is one thing. But let me just talk about the categorization. Fibers are being classified based on their solubility in water. So just bear with me. I'm not going to get so much technical, but so there are some fibers that we call them water-soluble fibers, that if you put them in hot boiling water, they dissolve. This is a trick issue that you have. And there are fibers, we call them insoluble fibers, which is basically you put them in hot water, they don't dissolve, or they don't, What is so remarkable about that is the following. Now, because of this physical characteristic, now this will impact the health benefits. So let's just talk about water-soluble fibers. So imagine when you have water and you put fibers and then they dissolve in that. Now, one thing about fibers, they love water. They will increase the viscosity or the thickness, and you will have a sticky gel, right? Yes. So imagine you are eating biryani, for instance, and and then you eat fibers with that, soluble fibers. Then biryani is made up of starch, is made up of course, fat, and is also made up of, or it contains, I should say, proteins. And so, and at the same token, you had some, for instance, soluble fibers, which is, for instance, if you eat one apple or one banana or something just right after. So what will happen in your stomach is the following. So in the normal situation, you're gonna break down the starch, the rice, to glucose, and this glucose will go into your blood, and then you will have a high blood glucose, right? Yes. This fat will be absorbed into the blood, and we will have cholesterol and blah 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 blah, and the proteins, etc. But that's not going to happen when we have fibers. So because it's sticky, it loves water, it forms a gel. It will encapsulate all the foods. So all the biryani will be encapsulated with this amazing sticky network, which is like a spider web, this fibers. And then it will prevent the digestion partially, it will prevent the digestion of starch.
Making us feel fuller
It
for
will
longer.
make you, yeah, I'm coming to that. So first of all, yes, let me just talk about your point. So first of all, you will have, the food is not going anywhere. It will remain in your stomach, and therefore you're going to feel full not only for 1 hour, but maybe for 8 hours. Because this stickiness and this solid fibers, they're not going to because they are sticky, the food is moving very slowly because there is high friction. And then the food is not going to move very slowly. It will remain in your stomach, and if it moves down to your small intestines, it will remain there for a very longer period of time. Therefore, I'm going to feel full. Therefore, I don't have to eat more calories. Therefore, I'm not going to gain weight. Simple as this. Second is it will prevent the absorption of partially the digestion and the absorption of the glucose. And for people who would like to lose weight, for people who are diabetes, for people who have some insulin resistance, some issues with that, this is wonderful, remarkable, because if I don't digest the starch, that means most of the starch will come out of my body, okay? It will not go into my blood, and this is something that I would love. And the second thing is triglycerides, which is fat, and cholesterol. Also, those soluble fibers, they will eliminate and they will bind, the triglycerides, which is fats, and they will bind cholesterol, and they will partially prevent the absorption of that into your blood. Rather, it will excrete it out of your body. So amazing, remarkable health benefits that we can get from having this, soluble fibers that we get. And so when it comes to insoluble fibers, before I get into that, let me just add one more point. One tip about, which is very crucially important about the intake, the timing. So many people, they say, oh, I take soluble fibers on an empty stomach and I don't get anything. Yes, you're not going to get anything. And some people, they take soluble fibers 2 hours prior to a meal. Some people, they take soluble fibers 2 hours after a meal. No. It has to be taken with the meal. Why? Because it has to be mixed with the food.
Automatically.
So exactly. And therefore, you're not going to get any benefit after 2 hours of digestion because the food has been already digested. Or if you take it before, then it will be gone by that time. And or on an empty stomach, then it's not going to. You're not going to get. Yes. And so, especially when you eat a fatty meal, then there is something we call it gallbladder. I don't know if you've and this gallbladder secretes a substance, we call it bile acid. This bile acid is made up from cholesterol, and it's only secreted once we have fat. Imagine that. And so, if the fibers, they can bind this bile acid and remove it out of the body. So the moment I have fat, I have to eat soluble fibers with that because I can't, because it's you're triggering the bile acid to come out, to bind it and then remove it, and therefore you're lowering your cholesterol significantly. But if you eat fibers on an empty stomach without fat, then you're not getting the bile acid out, right?
Doctor, I gotta be honest. The way that you presented this complex process.
Made it so simple.
As a scientific process, in something simple and visual for us is great, and this is the huge part for the students.
Are you planning to have any seminar?
We do. I'll be happy to do.
I will be the first
Sharing
one attending,
knowledge is something sacred. It's something I'm passionate about. And again, I'm glad to hear this feedback, and I hope the audience shares this with me, and in order to simplify that. Now, the other one is insoluble fiber. Insoluble fibers, they don't dissolve in water, but they love water. So this is like a sponge. So if you put a sponge in water, it will absorb water, but it's not going to be sticky. So that's a big difference. It's like sliding on a water slide, if you go to a water park or something. So what's the benefit of that? Well, the benefit of that is I don't know if you know constipation, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And constipation is when there's a delay in defecation, and the stool will remain in your large intestines for more than 5-6 days. And that is a serious problem, not only because it hurts, but it's also there are consequences to that, like hemorrhoids, diverticulitis, colon cancer, and etc.
Complications, yeah.
So many complications that could happen. But how can we get rid of constipation? That's a big issue. Well, simply speaking, you have to speed up the movement of the food inside your small intestines and large intestines. And there is no better way of that except for incorporating the water with the food, but not sticky, but not developing a sticky food. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we know the difference.
So you get the sponge, which is full of water, you mix it with the food, no gel, it's not sticky, and then they slide right there, through your small intestines, large intestines, and out of your body. And this is how we alleviate.
So these are certain food products
disorder.
which are
Yes,
like the most.
this is a good question. So generally speaking, to make it easier for the audience, any fibers that come from vegetables, mainly it's going to be insoluble. So for instance, from cucumber, from lettuce, from cabbage, red cabbage, green pepper, carrots, etc., etc., etc. Those fibrous things, then they will have more insoluble fibers. Celery, asparagus, all these kind of, fibrous vegetables. And now most of the fruits, they have soluble fibers. Okay, so when you take a banana, when you take an apple, when you take things like the cacao or something, a peach or apricot, those are all soluble fibers. Most of the cereals, especially the most important cereal and the most important fiber is oats, and probably that's something for the audience to know. Oats have a special fiber, it's called beta-glucans. That's the scientific name of the fiber that is available in oats. And this fiber is really the most effective fiber that can bind the cholesterol, bind the fats, and bind the sugars in your body. And so we need to encourage the consumption of oats more importantly. Now, anything that has to do with the rice or wheat bran. The bran is the layer of the cereal that contains the fibers, okay? So let me just simplify it. Rice fibers, you can buy them from the markets, and wheat fibers are completely insoluble, and they are the best, most effective fibers to solve the constipation, okay? So that is... and we need those two things. We need this combination, which is basically insoluble versus soluble. You're fine.
So it's about balance.
It's about balance, yes. It's about balance. But it's about actually, sometimes, I get so many clients who say, well, I've been taking fibers and the constipation did not go away. They buy it from pharmacy, and then you look up at the ingredients or the components, and you find this is a soluble fiber. How do you expect your constipation? It's gonna get worse because it's sticky.
Now we understand better the process.
Exactly. And okay, there are other kinds of fibers I would like to talk about. Now, there are fibers that, well, this is a big subject, maybe some other time, but briefly. We have good bacteria that live in our large intestines. We call them the probiotics. And we have a huge and a big responsibility to grow the number of this, or the population of this good bacteria. Why? Because they are the first line of defense. This is how our immunity is developing. The more good bacteria you have, the stronger is your immunity. That is basically something goes unnoticed, but have you ever wondered why you don't get sick every day? We are full of bad germs. Yeah. We are really full. If you take any swab from your hand, from your throat, something, we are full. But your immune system is fighting because of the good bacteria that we have, which is the probiotics. Now, at any moment, your probiotics, the number of bad bacteria outnumbers, or the population of the bad bacteria outnumbers the population of good bacteria, then you're going to get sick. And that is disastrous, right?
Yes, we understand.
That's why some people, they avoid antibiotics, because antibiotics,
Yeah,
they
effective.
kill the good and the bad bacteria, and then your immunity goes down. So we need to feed those bacteria in order to grow them. And the best part, or their favorite food, is fiber. But not all fibers are favorite. So we have special fibers. We call them prebiotics, if you've heard of that.
Yes, yes.
And those prebiotics are available, for instance, in onions, in garlic, in bananas, for instance, tomatoes, asparagus, and we need to increase.
I have to ask one more thing.
Yeah.
Cocoa, like a chocolate ingredient, is that a... Because we heard something about that when people have a stomach problem, something like that, occasionally it's good to take the high-level cocoa chocolate. Is that true, or is this
I have not heard of that, but maybe you're right. So we'll have to discuss.
Explore this.
We'll have to explore to dig deep into that. But you also could get those prebiotics from the pharmacy. You can go to the pharmacy and to any. They are food supplements. They are not something that you could buy them over the counter. But you also have to be very careful and ask the pharmacist about. I wanted the prebiotics in order to increase my, to grow
the
them.
balance of the good bacteria?
And I recommend to take those prebiotics always after you finish antibiotic course, because you need to restore your immunity as fast as you can. Yes.
Okay. I have to say one thing, Doctor. It's a pleasure to listen to you. Your vast knowledge and the passion for this topic is enormous. But we don't want to basically take the topics which we want to utilize in the next episodes. To be honest, I prepared some of the questions. I prepared 12 to 15 questions, but
I think
you
I
covered
answered
everything.
most of them.
You covered everything.
That's what I
So
thought.
I cannot ask.
Amazing.
Sven, do you have any additional question?
My questions go out the drain, to be honest. Everything was...
And actually, I have a confession. I swear to the audience that we did not talk about the questions.
No,
not at all.
To be honest with you. So I'm
Usually,
glad.
usually the guidance is to send it and we go back
No,
and forward.
we did not.
Oh, we
did
didn't.
not
We
do
came
that.
here strictly.
But I would love for you to go through the questions. If you have,
I'll cover some of them. So, introduction of the fiber, you done that. Health benefits for from the fiber, we done that. Fiber and heart health, for example, is one of the questions with.
of course, that is related to lowering
Exactly.
the level of cholesterol and
You covered
sugars.
that from the
And fats.
not primary but secondary elements and dietary daily fiber requirements. You covered that.
Yeah, no, actually, in terms of daily, that's a good question, Nemanja. In terms of daily for men, we need about 35 to 40 grams per day of fibers, combination, soluble and insoluble, and for women, we need about 25 to 80.
So when you say combination is from 30 grams, is 15 grams is soluble and 15 grams
It doesn't
insoluble?
matter. We don't like to talk about, there's no ratio for that, how
Okay.
much soluble to
Okay, great to
insoluble.
know.
But you know what? It's miraculous that the body can adjust itself to whatever, It has such internal, mechanism. So just be natural, eat fibers. I know it is very challenging these days because we really don't eat really any sources. Hardly any
Organized
sources.
food like
yeah,
dietary,
we only eat junk foods and ready to eat meats, and we are abandoning all the traditional home cooked foods with a combination of fruits, vegetables.
You're right. But I have to say just one question which we might didn't cover, maybe can be the last question of this series, actually this episode. It's a fiber supplements. So is that something like which is can be used?
Yes, fibers are foods. So
As a supplements, they exist in a form of the supplementation.
they do. Yes, they do.
But you will probably always prefer the natural ones. I mean, from fruits, vegetables.
There
grains,
are,
rather than supplements.
that's a good question. If you have time, if you allow me, just briefly. Of course, we prefer the natural, but there are actually kind of fibers. They call them functional fibers. What is that? Very briefly. So, for instance, there are fibers, we call them chitin and chitosan. They are a class of fibers. You don't have to. But they are available. The main source of them is in shell fish, like and etc. So it is hard to find for anybody to eat and to find these sources. So what the scientists they do is they extract those fibers and they add them to other foods, or they encapsulate them, and that's why they call them functional, because they are not part. So if you add chitin and chitosan to bread, for instance, This is not part of the original product, but you're getting it from others. So sometimes you have to eat fibers from, not medicinal supplements, because we cannot get it anywhere else, from foods.
So this is the part actually you answer every question without us asking you, which is excellent, and that's why we have this kind of good conversation, because it goes natural. It goes natural over there because you just line everything chronologically, and it's easy to understand. At least for me, it was really easy to even that most of the things I didn't know in such a way are presented by you.
Yeah, and actually, thank you. Thanks to both of you. For instance, one more example. I know this is endless. IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. People who have. If you go to the pharmacy, you will buy a supplements for IBS, which contains a set of fibers. They work for IBS.
To reduce the bloatiness and everything else.
Exactly, to reduce all of that, complications and the bloating and etc. etc. But yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Any other questions? No? Conclusion. Okay, thank you, Ahmed, and that's why we have all these organization with the students, because they follow certain things.
Exactly.
So conclusion.
We agreed to keep it casual and natural and casual.
Exactly. And we'll continue that. If I want to take the conclusion is going to be very simple. We will continue with this series. We're going to call it series where we collaborate with the College of Science. You pass more than you can run this show by yourself.
A+.
I'm not sure you need that. You can come next time. Just record it on your own, and we're going to be fine with it.
Are you going to hire me?
You're ready. We have a contract over here. We're going to prepare. So just to say thank you to everybody who was watching. We are trying to improve the quality of our episodes as best we can regarding the equipment, regarding the scenario, regarding the topics that we cover. And we believe that this is one of the best topics that we want to cover. It's collaboration with Dr. Sofyan and the College of Health Science, acting dean. And we started with the fibers today and with some basic sports nutrition information and the programs that we have in Abu Dhabi University in College of Health Science program. So stay with us in the next few episodes. I believe every week we're going to try to go further. And as you see, it's very, very simple. We try to utilize this vast knowledge of Dr. Sofyan and how he breaks down this in a very simple manner, so for us to understand and act on it. So stay with us, Sports and Wellness Office Podcast, next episode, number 7.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, of course.
With all honesty, your characters and personalities made it really, and of course Ahmed, made it really easier for me to speak naturally and to get engaged and with that. So the host play a big role in that, and I really felt very comfortable and looking forward to working with you along.
Thank you, Doctor. And the only thing you've done better than us today, I have to be honest, is bringing the coffee in the right way. So next time we're going to bring tea and coffee, so we're going to have all the elements we needed.
Thanks to ADU and Abu Dhabi universities for encouraging and advocating for this kind of.
Thank you for supporting.
So that's something that we are proud of our university, and we'll keep up the good work.
I'll appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good day.
Bye bye. Have a nice day.